Both chambers in place. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell telling the Washington Post that the midterms will be, quote, a very challenging election for Republicans. Here now is Gianno Caldwell, Fox News political analyst. Do you think he's right about that, Gianno?
I think that every first midterm is challenging for the party in power. I think Republicans should always be cautiously optimistic. If we look at just the averages, on average, the president's party that's in power almost always loses an average of about 25 seats. If you want to go back to 2010, where President Obama was obviously in power, thanks to the Tea Party and a number of other factors, Obamacare, a lot of other things that people didn't like, Democrats lost a whopping 63 seats. So with that being the case, I do believe that there should be some cautious optimism coming from Republicans. I know that the poll numbers in terms of the generic ballot has been changing very consistently.
The poll numbers, I mean, whether it's poll numbers or conventional wisdom, we threw all that out the window in the last election. It's kind of up for grabs. There had been this narrative that the Democrats were going to just give the Republicans a shellacking, but now they sound like they've gotten more cautious too. And maybe it's sunk in that everybody knows they don't really know what's going to happen.
Yeah, so to your point, there's two different elements at play there. One, they don't have a message. So, of course, you can't win without a message outside of I hate Trump. That's not going to work. The second thing is when it came to the polling in the 2016 election, the reason why it wasn't effective because they only polled people who voted in the last two election cycles, I believe. So a lot of folks that voted for President Trump hadn't ever voted at all, or they hadn't voted in many, many years. This was a once-in-a-lifetime candidate for a lot of people, someone who had a message that spoke to the common man. So that's the reason why that polling was off. I think this polling this time around will probably be a whole lot more effective and more telling, especially with some of the new polling models that was built by Fox News, in fact. So I think we're going to have a little bit more accuracy when it comes to the polling this time around.
You talk about having a message on either side. Is it enough for Republicans to have the same message as the president, or, you know, can they, that's not quite the same thing as trying to ride on his coattails, but is that enough, or do they have to stand out on their own? And for Democrats, I mean, you've seen some of them sort of almost embrace Trump at some places. Will that work for them?
Yeah. Well, actually, for some Democrats, it has worked. Those that know that President Trump won in their state big, they've definitely said they were Trump Democrats, or they believed in his messaging, or they wanted to work with him. And it obviously paid off for some Democrats. I think when it comes to members of Congress, people do view members of Congress and the president from different lenses. Some people see President Trump as a party of Trump, not necessarily ideologically in line with Republicans like Paul Ryan. So they may think of things differently. I think when it comes to House Republicans, yes, you need to talk about your accomplishments. We did pass tax reform. We almost eliminated Obamacare. There's been a number of good things done by the GOP. But when it comes to bringing folks out to the polls, because that's the consideration, giving people a reason to go out and vote, this impeachment message may be helpful because people do believe, and I actually believe, if the Democrats do take control of the House, they will try their best to impeach President Trump. So long as President Trump, and he's been ringing a bell on that message, so long as that continues to happen, that may give people incentive to come out to continue to see good things happen with the GOP.
We'll see which one it works better for. Gianno, thank you. Thanks for joining us.